Hello book lovers, it is G-Swizz here, and I think it's about time we did another unhaul. So I believe the last time I did an unhaul was around under 6 months ago at the time that I'm filming this. I mean, I don't know when this is gonna go up because these things are painful to edit. I am actually currently filming this on June 30. Like, I personally don't know when I'm gonna post this at the moment, but if I say something super dated, that is why. So what essentially inspired this recent book unhaul is the fact that I actually thought that Camilo and I would have had to move out of our apartment instantly after our lease expired. But turns out we are currently on an auto-renewing lease, so while we haven't heard anything back from our landlord, at least we still have a place to live in. But in the lead up to the end of our lease agreement, I kind of panicked and I started looking at my shelves and I was like, okay, what am I getting rid of to make a potential move easier? Even though that was a temporary panic due to the fact that I thought I was going to move out and we're no longer going to move out, at least for now, I will thank myself later. Because while I still do own a lot of books, it doesn't hurt to get rid of some, because I will definitely thank myself later for at least not needing to take these books to another place. So just a couple of things to address before going into this unhaul. Firstly, if I am unhauling your favorite book, I honestly do not mean to offend you. If it is a book that I haven't given a chance yet and you'd like to try to convince me to read them eventually, then I will allow that in my comments if you want to. But I mean, I won't guarantee it. I am definitely getting rid of these for the shelf space, so maybe I might revisit those on audio if I want to in the future, I guess. Some of these are also duplicates as well. So not all of these I'm planning to get rid of because I don't like them and I'm not interested in reading them. I do have some duplicates as well that I would love to relieve my shelves of. And secondly, these books will either be donated to my workplace's next fundraiser or an op shop, depending on which happens first. That all being said, I am not planning to sell these. I just don't have the time or space to sell any of these at the moment. I know that some people do like to put their books on buy, swap, and sell groups. I mean, I might consider that for some of the more expensive editions that I have, but at the moment I just don't have the time or space. Like, I literally work full time. I might consider it for the more expensive books. I don't know. If I don't have the time, then I'm just gonna donate them. So I guess without further ado, let's get straight into this unhaul. So first of all, some of you guys might have noticed that I put this series in the thumbnail. I compiled this unhaul pile a few days ago, and the reason why I did is because I am waiting on the fairy loot editions of the series to be sent to me. However, as I'm filming this video today, I'd have to say this is pending unhaul. And the reason why is because I still haven't heard any news about the fairy loot special editions. The sale happened almost a year ago now. If we are not going to get the Poison Study series in the fairy loot editions, then I will keep these. I just didn't want duplicates on my shelves. I mean, I don't mind these editions. I just thought I may as well unhaul them, considering that I will be getting the fairy loot editions. And the fairy loot editions are stunning. They are gorgeous, and I honestly feel like I don't need 2 sets of the series. So that's why they are in my unhaul pile. I do love this series, but I mean, considering the lack of shelf space that I have now, I don't know if I could justify keeping this original set when I have a beautiful set on the way. Fingers crossed. So this is pending for now. And speaking of getting rid of duplicates, I have the B format paperbacks of The Long Way Down to a Small Angry Planet and A Closed Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. I already have the IlluminaeCrate exclusive editions of these beautiful books. Like, I love these covers, and I wanted to purchase the rest of the series. I'm really happy that I held off from purchasing the rest in B format paperback. I was actually waiting for the later 2 books in the series to go down before purchasing them all and binging them all, but I have the fairy loot editions of the Wayfarers series now, so I don't need these. And the next 3 books I am planning to get rid of aren't necessarily bad books. I've only read the first book, and I do want to read the series. I'm not getting rid of the Plated Prisoner series because I think that it's terrible. Right here, I have the independently published paperbacks. And if you live in Australia like myself, you would know that these editions are not selling in bookstores. The editions that are selling in bookstores are the Penguin B format paperbacks. Initially, I thought that maybe I could collect the rest of the indie paperbacks, but here's the thing. So in Australia, the Penguin B format paperbacks are selling for $12 each. So Gild, Glint, and Gleam in the traditional traditionally published paperbacks are selling for $12 out there. If you were getting them from the bookstore, it would be full price, but if you were to get them from Big W, Kmart, or Target, that's how much they're going for right now. However, if I was to purchase books 4 and 5 in the independent published editions, guess how much they would cost for an Australian? They are currently selling for $50 Australian dollars. And if I was to pre-order from Barnes & Noble, it would be the same price. I can't justify purchasing the next 2 books in this series in the indie format paperbacks if they literally have the same cover as the traditionally published paperbacks. But not only that, the Penguin paperbacks have foiling. They're not glossed over, they're matte with foiling. If I was to wait for the entire traditionally published set to come out in B format paperback, they would all cost me a total of $60. Whereas if I was to purchase the next 2 books in the series, that would be $100. So it would actually save me more money if I was to repurchase all the Penguin paperbacks than if I was to purchase the next 2 books in the series. But even if they were at full price, they would be the same price. But the Penguin paperbacks are much prettier than these ones. And it's because with the mass printing and the budget that Penguin have, the presentation of their paperbacks looks so much better. I can't justify purchasing the rest of this series in the indie paperback because I would have to purchase them from a US seller because there are no indie book rights here in Australia. So I would have to purchase the Plated Prisoner Commonwealth editions, the Penguin editions, in order to continue on with the series, but they won't match. And the next book I'm planning to unhaul is Love at First Bite by Anna E. Collins. I did enjoy this book. The problem is, this is a romance book where majority of the book focuses on the conflict. It focuses on the protagonist getting revenge on their ex more than it does the love story between her and her new love interest. And as much as I like a good revenge plot, this was not a satisfactory romance novel. I purchased this because I wanted to read a romance novel, and at the end of the day, it was still kind of fun and enjoyable, but in terms of the romance side of things, it left a sour taste in my mouth, so I will be unhauling it. Speaking of romance novels that I just didn't enjoy, I find Twice Shy a little bit overhyped, honestly. I just really could not emotionally connect with these characters. I am happy that I read this before You Deserve Each Other because I'm hearing from everyone that You Deserve Each Other is amazing, but now I have managed expectations. I'm just kind of disappointed by this one. I expected to feel some sort of emotional connection with these characters, but I really didn't see chemistry in the story. It was mid, in my personal opinion. I apologize to those who love it and see it as a favorite. It's not one of my favorites. And the next romance novel I'm planning to get rid of is Battle Royale by Lucy Parker. I wanted to love this one so bad, but I just found it to be incredibly long. And by the time we actually got to see them together, I felt like it was just too late. But that's devastating though, because I do love this cover. Also, I have noticed recently that I do struggle with the idea of reading about food/desserts in books. And the reason why is because if they are dealing with food or desserts or like pretty looking food, I would much prefer to watch it. I'm not gonna lie, I am nervous about When in Rome by Sarah Adams. I really want to read that one, but I am nervous about it. So I'm hoping that I will love that one. I think Battle Royale kind of identified a problem for me. It identified that I do struggle to like pay attention to a book or series that have intriguing details about food. There's potential in seeing beautiful creations, but it's kind of underwhelming when you're only getting a description of it and not a visual aid. And the next romance novel I am planning to unhaul is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, just the original edition. I have the Fairy Loot edition, so that's all I'll say about that. And the next book I'm planning to get rid of is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. I never thought I would get rid of this book, but here we are. I am still so bitter about the direction of the story. I swear to God, if I keep talking about it, we will be here forever. So I'm just gonna say goodbye. And the next book I'm planning to get rid of is also a book I'm getting rid of because I already have a Fairy Loot edition, and that, my friends, is The Ex-Hex. I mean, I also don't need to explain this much. I do love this book, and I do love the original cover, but I mean, I think I should get rid of a duplicate. Even though I love this cover, I don't need it. And this is gonna be controversial for some, but I am getting rid of these 2 Sally Rooney novels. First of all, I have Normal People, which I've read, and I have Conversations with Friends that I have not read, but I watched the Amazon miniseries Normal People. I preferred the miniseries over the book, 100%. I'm hearing from people that Conversations with Friends, the book, is much better than the miniseries, and to that I would say thank you for letting me know, but I don't think I'm going to read this book. I'm not interested in reading this book anymore. I think it's because I've watched it and it was okay. It was a good series to pass the time, but I didn't know what I was meant to get out of Conversations with Friends. It was entertaining, but Normal People, the miniseries, was just incredible in my personal opinion. It was so good. I hate to say it. I mean, I wish I could read Conversations with Friends, but I just don't feel like it now that I watched the miniseries, you know? And another two romance novels I'm getting rid of because I already have special editions of them are The Soulmate Equation and The Kiss Quotient. One's by Christina Lauren and the other's by Helen Huang. I have Illumicrate / Afterlight special editions of these two books already, and I am not going to continue collecting these book series in paperback, so I am going to say goodbye to them. Now this one is going to be controversial, but I can think of at least a couple of people I can hand this series over to, and the series that I am referring to is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I have constantly told myself that I am planning to read the series. I'm not saying that I am never going to. It's just at this point, I cannot justify keeping these on my shelf because it's not going to be anytime soon for me. I am not really excited about the possibility of the third book. I mean, because I haven't read the series yet, but also I have just been seeing some shady things about the author catfishing people into thinking that he's going to publish the third book or like snippets of the third book. That has kind of made me a little bit uneasy about keeping these on my shelves. But not only that, it's taking a while. And I'm also hearing that the protagonist is unlikable, and look, I get that. I understand that series sometimes do best when we are following an unlikable protagonist. I am not saying that I'm never going to read this series. I've never put this on a book series I will never read video. I am wanting to try it eventually. It's just, it's not my time. And honestly, I don't know if the third book is ever going to be printed in these editions. These editions are absolutely beautiful. There are too many editions of The Name of the Wind at this point that I'm actually not sure as to whether or not the publisher will do the third book in these editions. And these are like special collectible editions now because I believe that these ones aren't in print. I could be wrong. I've got a sticker here. I purchased these back in 2015 because this book right here, The Wise Man's Fear, was stickered in November of 2015, and the same thing with The Name of the Wind. But I don't know if this one has a sticker. Yep, 2015, but except this one was September. So I purchased these in 2015. It's 2023. Since 2015, I've been waiting for the author to publish the third book, and I'm not even part of the fandom. So it must be a much more painful wait for those who are actually in the fandom. I have a few friends who love this series and absolutely adore this series, and I'm just wondering if I should just give these to them as like a gift. So I'm considering just giving this set away to one of my friends who absolutely adore the series. I had a friend who initially almost recommended me this book for my 12 Friends Recommend Me 12 Books challenge. Two things are for sure. Number one, if one of my friends recommends this for one of those challenges, I am going to kindly decline, and the reason why I am is because I struggled with some of the books on this TBR and I do not want super dense books on those TBRs going forward. And secondly, I'm not going to pick this up anytime soon. It will be some other day maybe if I ever get to it, but at the moment I'm just not feeling that it's right. Maybe I just have some beef with this author that I've never read from because of the controversies surrounding the third book. I'm going to say goodbye to these editions. And the next book I plan to unhaul is Gallant by Victoria Schwab. This is the Bookish Box exclusive edition. It looks okay. I mean, I really love the monoline art here, but I'm not going to reread this book. I didn't really like it much. It was just okay, and I think I've made the official decision to only really stick to Victoria Schwab's adult books. And the next book I'm planning to get rid of is also a duplicate, and that, my friends, is The Bone Witch by Rin Chapeko. This was actually purchased by Camilo, and I asked him if he needed it, and he said no. Now that we have a new set on our shelves, we don't need this one. I do love this cover though, and I'm actually quite devastated that you can't really find these covers in hardback anymore, or at least of the first book, because the first book cover is like the prettiest. But yeah, I have the Illumicrate exclusive editions, so I don't need this copy, and I'm not going to continue collecting these in paperback. This next book I had the toughest time getting rid of, and the reason why I had the toughest time getting rid of it is because Alice Maria Power illustrated the reverse dust jacket art. This is Lake's Edge by Lindell Clipstone. This is the Fabled exclusive edition, or the Fable Crate exclusive edition, when they were at Fable Crate, and they were pretty much repackaging traditionally published hardbacks. So this, I believe, was from Pan Macmillan, and what the Fable Crate would do was they would remove remove the original dust jacket and then create their own original dust jacket. They actually have this special edition cover as well, and then they would spray and glitter the edges sometimes. I like it, but they didn't continue the set. That kind of devastates me because I don't really like the cover for book 2, and I don't really like the original cover that much either, but I love Alice Maria Power's beautiful art, and I wanted to keep this because I love this art so much. I just wanted to have it on my shelves. I just can't really justify purchasing the rest of the series if the books aren't gonna match. But also, I'm not really interested in the series. I was just interested in her art, so there's that. And it looks like we have another Victoria Schwab book here, City of Ghosts. I read this a few years ago and I found it to be okay. I heard that it was gonna be a 5-book series, but I think it got reduced to a trilogy. I kind of hope that the story kind of resolved itself in the end. I don't think I would love this as much now as I probably would have around 7 years ago. So I am planning to say goodbye to it. The next 2 books I plan to unhaul are 2 books that I purchased because Bookstagram kind of pressured me into purchasing them. Ember of Night and Shadow of Light. Okay. That's infuriating. I kind of just felt the pressure to purchase these books. I wasn't initially interested in the series. Who knows? Maybe if I see an absolutely glowing review about it. Maybe. But I haven't heard amazing things, and I don't think I want to purchase a 3rd book if the spines aren't going to match anyway. I'm just trying to reduce the amount of books that I have to buy to complete series if I am not really super interested in the series. So I'm planning to get rid of this one for now. Who knows? I can be swayed. I might listen to these on audiobook eventually. We will see. And the next 3 books that I plan to get rid of, I'm kind of devastated about this, but at the very same time, I know for a fact I'm not going to get to Arusha and the End of Time by Rashoni Chokshi. These covers are absolutely stunning. I initially wanted to read this series because I was so interested in the premise. I also really liked the covers, but I was interested in the premise because we were following a protagonist who was just a huge fan of Spider-Man. And look, my young Spider-Man loving self, I mean, I still love Spider-Man. I really do. I don't think that the series is about that though. I think she's just a fangirl to the point that she wears like Spider-Man pajamas. When it comes to this series, I just know that I'm not going to get to it anytime soon because my reading tastes have matured. I really struggle in motivating myself to read middle grade, and I hate that because I know that I could be having so much fun if I read middle grade, but at the moment I'm just not able to motivate myself, even though I have a cousin who loves reading middle grade novels, and I have been purchasing her middle grade novels in order for her to get into some series. Honestly, I think that it's best I pass these on to her. And that kind of devastates me because I did want to read the series at some point and I love these covers, but I can't justify keeping these on my shelves if I'm not going to give them the time that they deserve. So the next book I'm planning to get rid of is Light Lark by Alex Astor. This is the Bookish Box exclusive edition of Light Lark. So here's the thing. The Bookish Box drew me in to their subscription because they were putting metal sword bookmarks into their boxes. And they said these were going to be subscription exclusive metal bookmarks. I knew because I had FOMO that I needed to keep my subscription. Even though I didn't want the book pick of the month, I wasn't interested in Light Lark at the time that my subscription was renewing. Initially, I was interested in Light Lark because I thought that based on it being from an author of Colombian descent, maybe we would get some representation there. I haven't heard anything so far, and I haven't heard great things about this book either. So I just decided I wasn't going to read it, but I was going to keep my subscription. And oh boy, I am so bitter now because they are selling those bookmarks in their online store. When they told us at the end of 2021 that these metal bookmarks were going to be exclusive for subscribers who were keeping their monthly subscription going, I am personally so angry and so bitter because I was lied to. This is a beautiful edition. Let me show you this beautiful edition. First of all, these pages, absolutely stunning. You have these beautiful end pages there, and then you have this really cool gold naked hardback. It's such a pretty edition, and I could collect the rest of the series, but the thing is, I'm not interested in it. And speaking of Bookish Box exclusive editions, I am so sad that I have to get rid of Autumn's Tithe by Hannah Parker, but the reverse dust jacket art for the second book doesn't even match this one. This cover is so beautiful. I could not justify purchasing the next book in the series because if you guys don't know, it cost me around 100 Australian dollars to buy a single book from the Bookish Box because I also have shipping that I need to include, and their shipping prices are ridiculous. so I could not justify purchasing the second book in their edition because I believe they did not use the same artist, or if they did use the same artist, the reverse dust jacket does not match. And to top it all off, I only gave Autumn's Tithe a 3 out of 5 stars anyway. It wasn't amazing, so I can't even justify continuing on with the series. I was going to purchase the rest of the books because I would have loved matching special editions. And yes, they do match in, like, you know, this beautiful design cover. This is a beautiful design cover. I really like it. But I also really like this cover, and I like switching it around. I really love this cover. It's adorable. But the other cover doesn't feel as autumnal or as magical as this one. So I am planning to get rid of this, and I don't think I'm going to continue on with the series. And the next book I'm planning to get rid of is a book that I actually like. It's just I don't think I want to keep it on my shelf. And that, my friends, is Sisters of the Snake by Sasha and Serena Nunua. I enjoyed this, and I would recommend this series if you were wanting a good young adult adventure. It's just I don't think I'm going to reread it. It's a beautiful cover. This is absolutely stunning, and I would consider continuing on with the series, but I really do need to save shelf space, and I don't think I would want to purchase book 2. I will probably listen to book 2 on audiobook if I feel like it, but honestly, I don't feel as much excitement for book 2 as I did when I first finished this book. I think that reading this book around almost a year before book 2 came out kind of made me lose interest in book 2, and it's a duology, so I would much prefer like completing it over audiobook maybe. And the next book I'm planning to get rid of because the subscription service is not continuing with the rest of the books in the series, from what I know so far, is Blood Scion by Deborah Farley. I have not lost interest in this book whatsoever. I don't know if I want to continue purchasing the Fairy Loot exclusive editions if they were to do any, but we haven't heard any news about them doing the rest of the series anyway. And the reason why is because I don't think I want to pay 100 Australian dollars for something that doesn't look too different from the original cover anyway. I do like the blue pages. Like, the blue pages are pretty cool. Either way, if Fairy Loot was to do a special edition for the second book, I think it would kind of be underwhelming in presentation as well. Like, I don't think I would want to pay $100 for it, but also I don't want to leave this edition alone either on my shelves. So it's kind of like a lose-lose situation. And the next 3 books I plan to get rid of are a few books that I did not purchase. These were actually gifted to me from my workplace. When I was onboarding, they gave me a gift pack of books, and these were the books. But these books aren't in the genres I typically read, so I'm planning to get rid of them. First of all, I have The Perfect Family by Robin Harding. Secondly, The Disappearing Act by Catherine Steedman. And then finally, Half-Life by Julian Cantor. With Julian Cantor, though, I do want to read Beautiful Little Fools and the next book that they're coming out with. I'm really excited for that one. But with this one, I'm not as interested in it because I don't necessarily read the genre often, and I'm not really interested in its premise as much as the other 2 that I'm looking forward to reading by the same author. But yeah, I will be passing these along, and these ones are less painful because I didn't purchase them. And the next book I plan to unhaul is Confess by Colleen Hoover. I actually have 2 copies of this book. I received them both for free, so there is that. And the next book I plan to get rid of is Chef's Kiss by TJ Alexander. I did enjoy this one, I'm just not gonna reread it. And I think I'm also getting rid of this one for similar reasons to Battle Royale. Once again, it's a story about food, except I found the plot a bit more intriguing in this one. I still do recommend this one, it's just I need shelf space, so I am getting rid of it. I don't plan on rereading it, but it was very good, and I do highly recommend it if you were wanting a good cooking-centric romance. And the next book I plan to unhaul is actually an arc of Blood Marked by Tracy Dion. This was so hard for me because I have been eyeing this arc for the last few months, and I've just been thinking to myself, I need this. Like, I need to keep it because it's an arc, and it's an arc of a very hyped series. I must keep it. But honestly, I personally don't see the hype in arcs unless, of course, they are somewhat more customized than the original edition. If you are doing something really special with your arcs, then maybe I would accept that, and maybe I would keep that. Like, if I had access to all the Fourth Wing arcs, then yeah, I would take them on. That all being said, I don't. Like, even though I do work in publishing, I don't have access to those arcs, so please guys, don't ask me. I wish, guys. And also, I have the Fairy Loot exclusive editions of the series already. I really don't need another copy, and whoever wants to have an arc, I'll give them an arc, you know? I don't need to collect arcs, unless, of course, the arc is very special. I'm not saying that this isn't a special book, it's just like literally the same cover, except it says advanced reader copy at the top. And the next 2 books that I plan to unhaul is going to pain some of you guys. I understand that, at least with one of them in particular. It's just, once again, I don't think I'm going to reread some of the books on my shelves, and I don't think I'm going to reread Red, White, and Royal Blue. I have to admit it, this book was really hyped. I wish I loved this book as much as everyone else out there loves this book. It was really enjoyable, and I did like how the story kind of ended. I think because the hype is so massive, I just found it to be nice. I found it to be okay. And I don't see myself wanting to go back to the story and rereading it. And I feel devastated about that because I want to love this book as much as the rest of the fandom does. I don't see myself rereading it. However, if we're talking about One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston, I love that book and I am keeping it. I adore One Last Stop. And it's very funny because so many people don't love One Last Stop as much as they love Red, White, and Royal Blue. And people think that Red, White, and Royal Blue is the best book written by Casey McQuiston. I respect that opinion, but I personally think that One Last Stop was a very genius concept and it really intrigued me. It's just with Red, White, and Royal Blue, I think I just expected too much from it. And I got something. I just didn't get a new favorite. That's all. But that all being said, I am also going to unhaul I Kissed Shara Wheeler. Unlike the other two Casey McQuiston books I just mentioned, I have not read this one, but I do struggle with young adult contemporary. And I purchased this one because I wanted to see if I loved Casey McQuiston's books to the point that I wanted to read something from them in the YA category. I, once again, enjoyed One Last Stop and I liked Red, White, and Royal Blue, but if I am being real with myself, I don't think Casey McQuiston is an auto-buy author for me, nor are they an auto-read author for me. Therefore, I don't know if I would push myself to read a YA from them. I would for authors like Rachel Lynn Solomon and Lynn Painter because I enjoy their stories a lot. It's just, I think I loved One Last Stop based on its concept, and I just loved that concept so much that I just want to see a smart concept like that done by them again. But then I just found Red, White, and Royal Blue to be okay. How am I going to feel about a YA novel from them when I don't usually read YA? But also, I've heard that this book kind of feels a lot like Paper Towns, and as much as I love Paper Towns, I don't know if I want to experience the Paper Towns experience with another book just yet. I will read Casey McQuiston in the future if they do write adult romance, but I don't know if I want to read I Kissed Shara Wheeler, and I don't think I'm going to reread Red, White, and Royal Blue. But I will give them another try. And the next two books I plan to get rid of pains me so much because I love Dial A for Aunties, but For Aunties and a Wedding did not need to happen. I don't see myself rereading Dial A for Aunties, and I think I just don't see myself rereading it now because I think For Aunties and a Wedding kind of ruined it for me. I love these covers. I literally purchased trade paperbacks for this series because I just loved how they matched together. Like, these are just so pretty. I'm devastated that I have to get rid of these, but I just don't see myself rereading this book because I really didn't like this book. It was funny. It just did not need to happen. And another book that I purchased and I read this year that I'm kind of devastated about getting rid of, but I'm getting rid of it because I felt like it was unnecessary. That, my friends, is Unnecessary Drama by Nina Kenwood. What was this? I thought that this was a romance. And yes, there's like a romantic plot in here, but it's not really as prominent as I wanted it to be. This book just deals with a lot of teenage drama, and I still kind of appreciate my reading experience because I appreciated reading about a protagonist with anxiety, and that's what I loved about the novel. It's just, this was kind of pitched to me as a housemate's romance, and I like that stuff. I really do. The American Roommate Experiment is one of my favorite books. I just wanted more of that rather than the unnecessary drama that we got, and I understand that that's the title, but this was pitched to me as a romance. I mean, you guys could blame me for picking up a book with unnecessary drama in the title, but yeah, I don't know. I'm never trusting those trope marketing techniques ever again because of this. And the next book series that I'm planning to get rid of, I've told myself that I gave it another chance, and I just can't do it. I really cannot read the Ember Quartet. I have the first 3 books in the Ember Quartet because I was going to purchase the 4th book when it came down to the B format paperback, but here's the thing. I have been spoiled for how the series ends now, and I don't think I could put myself through all this pain knowing that. Like, I thank my friend for spoiling me to some capacity because they were put through so much pain, and I understand that some of you readers out there who love the series would have also had to go through the pain. I can't handle it. I know, maybe that makes me a coward. But you know what? I will take the label coward if it means that I have to avoid the pain. I don't think I am going to get to them anytime soon, and you know what? Maybe in 20 years I will be prepared to read it, but I'm not there. I'm not there at all. And the next book I'm planning to get rid of is a book that the Bookish Box have not confirmed a sequel for, and that, my friends, is The Swoven Kingdom by Tara Muffy. This edition is very beautiful. What I am bitter about is the fact that these stenciled edges, they're not centered, and that makes me very bitter. What also makes me very bitter is that they initially did not have Commonwealth rights. So I had to sign up for a US mailing address in order to get this book. The cost of that was just ridiculous. I don't know if I'll be doing that again, unless of course it will be worth it in the future. I don't know if I want to do that for book 2. I find this design to be okay, but I actually prefer the original cover. And I wanted to purchase this because FOMO, right? These end pages are really dark in person, but I'm really happy that the ring light at least shows them. And like, this is cool. And I do like this cover underneath as well. I don't think I'm going to continue this series with the Bookish Box. I don't know if I'm yet interested in this book series. I actually started the audiobook. I think I did that at the wrong time because I started it when I had a book hangover. It was the worst. So I want to read this book series eventually, and I don't think I will continue purchasing the Bookish Box exclusive editions. And another exclusive edition I'm planning to get rid of is Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. I should have skipped this box. Even though Fairy Loot only gives you 4 skips ever, I think I would have used my skip on this one. Ever since reading Fable, I have not been interested in reading anything else by Adrienne Young. I just don't really gel with her writing style. I mean, I like these edges. These edges are so beautiful. But also, I mean, I'm not really motivated to keep this edition because as much as the customization is pretty, I just don't think this edition had enough customization for being a Fairy Loot book. I mean, this cover right here, I think the font was just changed, but like, it's not even foiled. You can't tell that it's a special edition until you look under the dust jacket or at the pages. Aesthetics aside, I'm not interested in reading the book. Speaking of Fairy Loot, I'm not continuing on with the series, so I'm planning to get rid of The Darkening. I initially put this on the This TBR Will Self-Destruct video that I posted earlier this year, and I wanted to read it to find out whether or not I would want the second book in the series, and I don't think I want to spend another $100 to continue on with the series when this book was just okay. I wasn't engaged in this book at all. I loved the last 5% of it, but I just couldn't stay invested in the rest of the story, so it's goodbye. And the next special edition I'm planning to get rid of is Together We Burn by Isabel Ibáñez. It wasn't amazing. I didn't love the first 75% of it, but I loved the last 25% of it. But I don't think that that is enough for me to like want to keep it on my shelf. I do love the customization though. Oh my goodness, it's so pretty. I love this foiling. It's so gorgeous. And then here we have the protagonist on the reverse dust jacket art. It was a good story, but I just wasn't invested in it enough for me to want to keep it forever. And the next special edition I have to get rid of, and I hate that I have to get rid of this because it's so beautiful, at least under the dust jacket. However, the book really depressed me. This was a really hard book for me to read personally, and I think that at least the Bookish Box special edition could have had a trigger warning at the beginning of the book, or the Goodreads synopsis could have had a trigger warning about how disturbing this book was. It was very hard for me to read. That, my friends, is Monsters Born and Made by Tanvi Burwa. I do not hate the writing style that Tanvi Burwa wrote the story in. It's just the themes of the story were really depressing. The protagonist never got a break. It was really hard to read. I could just like sob about it because I was just truly distressed while reading this book, and I just really wish I was given a trigger warning. I wish that I had a trigger warning either at the beginning of this edition of the book or on the Goodreads synopsis. I don't know if the original paperbacks out there by Source Books have trigger warnings, but I think that it's worthwhile to give a book like this a trigger warning because it is incredibly violent and very disturbing, and it is very emotional. The protagonist goes through a lot and people get hurt. It's just really, really hard to read about. I do love this beautiful edition though. Like, I love this beautiful holographic foiling, and I love this character art. Like, it's so pretty. There is so much to love about this edition, but thinking about this book, it really kind of distresses me. I don't think I could read this book ever again, nor do I think I would be able to stomach any more books in this world. This book actually ended off on a cliffhanger. There's a companion book in the series, but I don't know if this protagonist's journey will end. But you know what? Even though this book ended off on a cliffhanger, it ended off in one of the most horrific ways I've ever read about, and I did not sign up for something that was super horror-like, so it was just terrifying. I feel absolutely traumatized about my reading experience with this book, and I don't think I'm going to pick it back up ever again. So I'm going to pass it on to someone who will appreciate a special edition of it. And the final book series that I plan to unhaul is a book series that I have contemplated contemplated unhauling for quite some time. And the reasons why I have not is because 1, these are signed and personalized, and 2, the editions are really stunning. But I have to be honest with myself. Am I ever going to reread TheIlluminae Files by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff? Am I ever going to reread the series? I don't think I am. And I don't think that I can. I enjoyed my reading experience of these at first, but I don't think that I would want to revisit them. And I don't know if I want to ruin the first reading experience I had with the series. I honestly don't know if rereading the series will harm the way that I see it now. I did enjoy the series at one point, and I still kind of think fondly of the TheIlluminae Files. And yes, I know they are so pretty. They are absolutely stunning, and I love that this dust jacket is just like really cool because it has all this text, and then underneath you've got some more text. I like the concept of how this was designed, but I don't think I'm gonna reread these. These have been collecting dust on my shelves since Obsidio came out, and I don't read nor support Jay Kristoff anymore due to his controversies, and I have talked about this on my channel previously. I did enjoy following the TheIlluminae crew when I did. I think it's about time I say goodbye to my beautiful editions. Even though this is like really sad, I just know that someone else is going to appreciate these editions. I think I initially remembered that I had these editions when a new work colleague of mine said that this was their favorite series ever, and that's when I realized that, oh, I still own this series, but I don't think I'm gonna reread it. I think it's about time I say goodbye. And guys, that was a big move for me because I kept on telling myself I was gonna reread the series, but honestly, I just want to keep my memories of the series the way that they are at the moment and not taint them any further. So I'm just not planning to reread the series. So I guess that's gonna be it for this video today, book lovers. This was a very long one, and I do apologize once again if you happen to like any of these books, but I am a free woman. I feel like a burden has been lifted off of my shoulders. If you happen to stay to the end of the video, leave me the book stack emoji because that was a lot of books. And if you happen to enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet already. Join the amazing community of book lovers. And also, I have social medias. I'm at gswizzlebooks on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm also Goodreads. That's www.goodreads.com/gswizzle. And finally, I'm at TikTok. I'm at gswizzle on TikTok if you want to follow me there for some books content. I love you, book lovers, and I will see you later. Peace.
Started out with half and I flipped it in a double. Started out with half and I flipped it in a double.